Hello, good morning, again, 6 a.m. on the dot. It is time for big chunky robots, the biggest and the chunkiest robots out there. No, that would be Titans. The biggest and chunkiest robots that can be played in a 2K point game. You could actually run a Warhammer with 2000. It's bad start to this video. It's fine. Imperial Knights. To honor the code Chivalric? That's fine enough. An adamant clad. Wait, isn't that a Titan up there anyway? Yeah, isn't that a Titan? Whatever, it's not important. Yes, the Imperial Knights. I have a bit of a beef with the Imperial Knights. I have always considered the faction to be a poorly designed faction in the overarching scheme of 40K. Knights themselves are amazing. They are super cool. Their minis are gorgeous. The painting projects you can get from them are awesome. And their lore is incredible. I just finished Assassinorum Kingmaker, which it might seem like it's an assassin book, but it's quite a knight book, actually. It gave me a profound respect for the Imperial Knights. But it's always been like playing chess, but your opponent has 8 queens. The games are normally incredibly one-sided and not always resolved by a point of skill, but rather the question of, did you take enough anti-tank, yes or no? Or did you take enough bodies to outclog their objectives, yes or no? And that was kind of the extent of it all, you know? So I'm always a little bit unhappy with Knights in the overarching scheme of the tabletop. I also think that they don't particularly perform hyper well at like a tournament. They're a gatekeeper army. The best Knight players I've always seen normally go 5-1. I really rarely see them win events. It's almost always 5-1. Like they get right there, but some list they run into just kind of hits them as a roadblock. So Knights are always a bit of a gatekeeper army. They're kind of a skew army. They're not my favorite thing ever on the tabletop. I like allying in a Knight, like one into an overarching group, but you know, we'll see. Also, Imperial Knights have had insane rules, so many things to remember, and Freeblade Knights it's a lot. So, 41st Millennium is a dangerous place. Experience for the safety of a giant walking war machine the size of a house? The answer is yes. The Knights have a seat with your name on it, and a dash slate full of smashing new rules to coax your honorable side out. Bigger is better, and Knights are the biggest. Factually incorrect. Let's see here. Yeah, God, they look so good though, right? They just look so good though. Just the visual of him. You know where you stand with the Imperial Knights, big stompy walkers with world-shaking weapons and enough armor to cover a tank regiment. In contrast to the traitor cousins, Imperial Knights are all about working together, with Questoris Knights shepherding smaller armatures to success through improved bondsman abilities, while larger Dominus Knights grants them the protection of their wider ion shields. Interesting. The all-around increase in vehicle durability has paid dividends for Imperial Knights who can sit on objectives all day with huge OC characteristics and fewer penalties once damaged, right? As well as their, oh, God damn it, I'm a gamer. I'm such a gamer, the code Chivalric. As well as their massive weapons, the Imperial Knights are known for their unflagging duty and honor. All Knights now follow a stringent set of rules known as the Code Chivalric, which governs notions of fair play and bravery, even in the nightmare conflicts of the era in Dominus. Okay, so the Code Chivalric. If your army faction is Imperial Knights, at the end of the read mission objectives step, you must select one of your oaths below, or one of the oaths below to be active for your army. Models from your army with this ability gain the associated oath ability, and you gain the associated deed to complete. If at the start of any of your command phases, your selected oath's deed is completed, your army becomes honored for the rest of the battle, and you gain 3 CP. You can only gain CP this way once per battle. Okay. And there's only 2. Wow, okay, that's way less. Way less. How many are there? Oh, wait, no, I think there's actually only 4. Things, yeah, they look a lot different, right? Protect those in need and defend the realm. refuse no challenge, and lay low the tyrants. So there's the difference between 2 to 4, which makes sense because, you know, they've been lowering the volume of rules. Lay low the tyrants. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. This deed is completed if the enemy warlord is destroyed. Reclaim the realm, add 1 inch to this model's move characteristic, and add 1 to advance and charge. This deed is completed if you control 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. Okay. Sounds good. You know, I mean, okay, so basically I'm going to have to tell people to shut up about the rerolls thing again, aren't I? It's probably one of those things like, oh man, reducing rerolls. Look at that army-wide reroll hits 1 to wound, or hit of 1 and wound of 1. Though I must admit, Knights like chunked rules on themselves. They chunked rules. For example, lay low the tyrants here was the same thing when you were honored. You could reroll 1 hit and, or no, it was 1 hit and 1 wound instead of 1s to hit and 1s to wound. But I must say, like, it's when you add that, and then you add the various attachment abilities, like gaining the martial traditions of the where is it? The Questor allegiances, which would be add 1 to advance and charge here, or add 1 to the wounds and regen wounds. And then you had your noble knight houses that gave you special abilities, like add 1 to the attacks, reroll a wound roll of 1. Like once you get rid of the fact that you're removing a lot of the other side fluff, rerolling 1s to hit and wound for such a large knight isn't really the worst thing in the world. I'd say it's a pretty good one. It's pretty evident. It feels like this one is for shooty, and this one feels like it's for stabby. I mean, like, this could also, Lay Low the Tyrants could also be for stabby. You know, it totally could, but it's I don't know. It's it feels like it'd be more for shooty than it would be, because Reclaim the Realm is obviously for stabby. It's very evident for stabby. Faster movement and faster advance and charge rolls. I guess you could say it's for shooty just by the gain the movement itself. The deed is relative. It seems like obviously you pick after you see your opponent's army. So if they're having a big, chunky, easy to shoot enemy like a Mortarion, then perhaps that would be a fine one. And if not, then maybe you could just grab something in their back line. You know? Seems pretty normal. I like the fact that you just gain flat out 3 CP by completing the deed. It's easier to remember than all of these insane levels of pledges, troths, and honored abilities. It's a lot to remember on this side. A lot to remember on this side. So, yeah, I mean, it's what most armies so far have been handling. A slightly lower flavor to it all because there's less to have for a simplistic vibe going on here. I mean, it looks quite good, I'd say. I mean, Lay Low the Tyrant looks quite good, but obviously re-rolling a hit roll of 1 and wound roll of 1 as like an overarching buff is less powerful when you're not running like a gigantic castle of models, like a Gilliman castle in 9th, for example. When it's on like 7 or so stompy robots, it's pretty darn good. Like it is very good, but I wouldn't say it's like game breaking, you know. The Eldar one kind of felt a little bit scarier because it's reroll 1 hit and 1 wound, which can be any miss. This is just the ones, but it's like all ones, so you know there's a back and forth going on with it. Yeah, all right. Let's see. The Ennoble Lance is attached and rule. The Indomitable Heroes. All Imperial Knight armies for your army have the Feel No Pain 6-up ability. Wow. If your army is honored, those models have the 5-up Feel No Pain ability. Wow. Wow. Okay. Holy hell. That's really good. That's really good. Okay. Shit. I'm scared now. Okay, so the deed is, in order to honor your, you must complete your deed. At the start of any of your command phases, your selected OSD is complete. So it's the deed is complete at the command phase post doing your thing. Your army becomes honored for the rest of the battle, and you gain 3 CP. So you gain 3 CP, and then you bump it up to a 5-up feel no pain, which I'm going to assume detachment rules for knights might follow in some kind of formation that involves here's your ability, and here's your ability when honored. That's my assumption. That would kind of make sense. That feels very knight-like, where it's like, this is what you get, but this is what you get extra if you're honoring yourself. And at the moment, it seems like it's just these 2 deeds at the moment. So complete if enemy warlord is destroyed, and objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. And yeah, and it's completed if you control one in your command phase. So it's not just stealing it from your opponent, you have to hold it. Interesting. It should not, like, a 6-up feel no pain on knights is a very good rule. Because the more wounds something has, the more important the feel no pain becomes. A 1-wound guardsman, a 6-up feel no pain might save you a guardsman or 2, but it really doesn't do much. When it comes to a knight, it is a huge durability boost. A 5-up feel no pain on a knight is like laughably high. That is an excessively high damage reduction ability. Like, it's ludicrous. I think Death Guard players are going to be very upset when they read this. Granted, you have to be honored to get it. So there is a requirement. You have to kill the warlord or do the deployment zone thing, which I'm assuming that you need to tell your opponent this, obviously. So I would say that there is a precedent to therefore protect your warlord or really keep your deployment zone safe. So, 6-up for the most part, which is still good, but the 5-up is like, whoa. All right, unit spotlight, Armature, and please Knight Tyrant, Damn it, Ksrx, that's fine. All right, Armatures are the closest thing to Imperial Knights had to frontline troops, and the much welcome upgraded toughness. Company is a generous objective control characteristic of 8. All right, Armatures, little knights, loyal knight jester. So, little baby knights, vehicle, walker. Oh, walker is a term now. Battle line, Imperium, Armature, and Warglaive. Oh, it's a battle line unit. Okay, cool. It is a 12-inch move, T10. So it's actually a teensy bit higher toughness than before, because it was T7, and 7 is the new 9. And so T10 is actually a slight buff, because you're actually wounding this on 5s with Meltas. That's pretty crazy. 3-up armor save, classic, 12 wounds, 7 leadership, and 8 OC. See here with the 12 wounds, I'd like to double check that for the Warglaive. Yep, still 12 wounds. So that's all so far so good. Deadly Demise D3, Code Chivalric. Impetuous Glory. Each time this model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by this have the sustained hits 1 ability. Okay, so it just gives +1 to exploding 6s in melee during the charge. It is a 1 through 4 wounds remaining for -1 to hit, and an invul save of 5-up, asterisk only against ranged attacks, which is a pretty classic like Ion Shield thing, is you keep it only against ranged. Okay. I mean, so far so good. This is about what I expected. A little bump in toughness. Nice to see. Nothing else too crazy going on here. Let's see. Ranged weapons. We have a singular Meltagun, which I'm assuming is its carapace mounted one. Does it? It might be choose or pick, right? Because don't you have to replace it? Yeah, so it's one or the other when it comes to ranged weapons. So either a single Meltagun, they're still hitting on 3s, which is nice. 12-inch range, 946, as I mentioned, would have wounded on 5s. Or a Questoris Heavy Stubber, which is 1/1. I did not know it would keep its AP. Kind of surprised by that. And more shots. Well, fewer shots from a searching range, but more shots within half. That's a solid buff to that stubber. Damn. Okay, cool. And then the Thermal Spear is 2 shots at 24-inch range. I think it's 36 before, right? Yes. Oh, it's 30. At strength 12, AP 4, D6 damage with Melta 4. Whoa. Okay. So That got a big strength buff, That's very good. It'll wound vehicles on 4s, much like old Meltas will, like Land Raiders and the like. Another stuff on 3s. Shorter range, just a little bit, but it is good AP, good damage, and Melta 4 is pretty nasty. Basically, the Melta rule is if you fire it within half range, you add that number to the damage. So within half of 12 is 6, so it'd be D6 plus Melta 2, D6 plus 2. So within 12-inch range, this Thermal Spear will be putting out D6 plus 4 damage, which is quite chunky. That will do a pretty staggering amount of damage to a vehicle if you ran it with the Code Chivalric, the reroll 1s to hit and wound 1. Yeah, that'll hurt. That'll hurt real bad, which makes sense. The Armature Warglave's Thermal Spear is meant to be a tank buster, so I guess that works, but goddamn. All right, and then the Reaper Chain Cleaver. We have four attacks there still. Okay, so 4 attacks at 10-3-3. 10-4-3. Okay, so it's the same strength, which means it's a nerf because it's strength has changed. The AP has been dropped by 1, and it's still 3 damage. So it still hits decently well at cutting apart elite infantry. And then the sweep motion is double the attacks at 8-1. This one at the time is 6-3-1. So lower AP, as we've seen many times before. And I give strength 6 to strength 8. I guess that's a buff, yeah. Still wounds vehicles on 5s for the most part. Probably about the same. Not really much of a buff, actually. Probably about the same because of the strength differences and all that stuff. It'll be a lot better for things like Marines, basically. You'll be ruining Marines and stuff on 2s, which is good. And also lots of other things that are, anything that's T7 and T6 will enjoy it more as well. Overall, this is pretty good. This Armature is as kind of what I expected it to be. Slap on a 6-up Field of Pain on this guy, give him a little bit more survivability. It moves 12, which is very fast. Slight buff in toughness to increase its survivability. And then not only that, but with AP coming down across the board, it'll probably be a lot easier to keep it alive against non-tank busting weapons, which is also good. Range is a bit short, but that's fine. The Thermal Spear hits like a freight train, because the old one was what, like 9-4-D6? Yeah. And the Stubber is actually pretty good too. You'll chunk off more shots against infantry than you probably were going to before. And, exploding 6s in melee once you get into range. So yeah, this is solid ass little Armature. Nothing really to note here. I'd say the Agenda Control of 8 is one of the more interesting things as well. That's a big number, and you can push off lots of just kind of 5-man squads of non-troops, which is really, really good. All right. Ksrx, the big man. Good old Sir Hector is inside of here, the Nightman himself. So we got a lot more going on here. So let's check it out. Keywords: vehicle, walker, titanic, towering, questoris, character, epic hero. So he counts as an epic hero. Pyramid Ksrx. For the stat line, it is, here, see here real quick. War gear, none. Unit composition, 1 Ksrx epic hero is equipped with these things. And they said something about flip this card below over and use the instructions for Sir Hector once this is destroyed as well. Because I know he has like a little model. 10-inch move. Actually, I should probably grab Ksrx while I'm here. 10-inch move. Hits on 2s, ballistic and weapon skill, because he's a fancy pantsy knight. Toughness 12. So not the toughest thing in the game. That would be like a monolith or something. Is T12. However, I'm assuming that maybe the Dominus class knights might be T14, like the monolith, or at least T13. This is the Questoris class knight. The Dominus is the Valiant and the Castellan. So the ones with the big thermal spear or the flamer and harpoon. So I think they might be a higher toughness or simply more wounds. I'm not sure. Still 3-up save. Sounds good. 22 wounds. He has 24 here, so it's a slight drop in wounds. 5-up leadership and 10 OC. Pretty chunky OC as well. Really, really shoving people off. Deadly Demise D6. Coach Chivalric, super heavy walker is also an ability here. I can see, I'm assuming that's the classic like fallback, shoot, and charge without issues. Legendary Freeblade. Once per turn, you can target this model with a Strategum for 0 CP, and you can do so even if you have already targeted a different unit with that Strategum in the same phase. Ooh, that's really, really good. That's really good. Then Chain Breaker. Each time this model makes an attack, an unmodified successful hit roll of 5 up scores a critical hit. Interesting. I'm seeing a lot of sustained hits. Okay, that's going to make a lot more sense. I'll explain that in a moment. And then damaged wounds 1 to 7. Subtract 5 from the OC and 1 from the hit roll. And then the classic Ion Shield, which is a 5-up invul save against ranged only. All right, so let's look at these weapons real quick. They have a different, I guess, overall weaponry volume. Well, we'll see. So the Las Impulsor was the prior one. This is the Chain Breaker Las Impulsor. So we'll start with the low intensity, which is 2d6 shots at 7-1-2. This one, low intensity, is 2d6 shots at 6-2-2. So up in strength, but not really, and then a loss of AP. However, it did gain blast and sustained hits 1. So why is this important? Blast, of course, is +1 attacks for every 5 models in a unit, and sustain hits 1 is exploding 6s to hit. However, based on his Chain Breaker rules, a successful hit roll of 5 up scores a critical hit. Therefore, his sustained hits of generating extra attacks is not just on 6s, but on 5 and 6. So a 5 and a 6, it's exploding 5 ups, basically. To make his gun quite powerful, it would appear. I'm assuming that he would also get the Coach Chivalric, which would be the re-rolling 1s to hit and wound, which is a pretty staggeringly good buff on a ballistic skill 2-up person, because you'll probably get not just 100% efficiency, you'll get more than 100% efficiency. Because 5s and 6 will generate additional hits. You'll get like 120% of your shots. If you roll 2d6 and you get 7 shots, you'll probably end up with 9. It's really good. It has the same thing on the big chunky one too. 24-inch range, which is the same as before. It was 12-4-4. This time it's 14-3-4. So 12, I think, is going to 14 is good. It'll wound monoliths and stuff on a 4, which is technically, I guess, a strength nerf, but whatever. -1 AP, still high damage, still blast, still sustained hits. This is gonna really hurt. If you have like a squad of 5 Terminators, I think this is going to really rip into them. Which I guess is kind of the point. It is the high intensity Las Impulsor, but yeah, that's a lot. That's gonna hit real hard. And then last but not least, they have the Chain Breaker Multi-Laser, which is 2 or 4 shots at 601. Interesting. So that's the exact same thing as before. I know the Imperial Guard got a better multi-laser that had an AP. I wonder if they'll take that back. So 601, and then also sustain hits 1, which with Chain Breaker means it is a 5-up. So pretty nasty there, I will not lie. Good extra anti-infantry. As for its weapons, we have Freedom's Hand, the fancy Thunderstrike Gauntlet. So the strike is 5 attacks at 20. Okay. AP 3 and damage 9. Hits on 2s as well. Before it was strength 16, roughly the same, give or take. AP 4 and damage 8. But also on an unmodified wound roll of 6, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds in addition to the damage. So the strength technically has taken a nerf because of the way strength values are right now. You'll be wounding some chunky vehicles on 3s, not everything on 2s. The AP has been dropped by 1, which we've seen plenty, and the damage has gone up 1, but you've lost the mortal wounds. And you still do get sustained hits 1, which on a 5-up. So out of 5 attacks, you'll probably end up with 7. It's ridiculous. That's gonna hurt real bad. That's gonna hurt real bad. And then the sweep attack, of course, is double the attacks, 10 to 3. At this point, this is 10 to 3 as well, except it also inflicted mortals. The mortals are gone, but it has the sustained hits. Wow. Okay. Knight players, I'm going to assume you're going to be quite happy with this. So far, this has the same level of strength that the Eldar preview had. This looks like it's going to really hurt, man. Really hurt. The ability to use an additional stratagem is very handy. The Chainbreaker is going to give you tons of damage, and the damage you put out is very high. You are relatively well tanky. You are getting wounded by Meltas on 9s, las cannons on 9s, strength 9, on 5s, las cannons on 4s. There is a lot going on here. I mean, Ksrx is apparently going to be your big hero guy. So if anything, he would be the one that does the most damage and has the most crazy powers. How that being said, it does make me wonder what an army of even dudes that are 80% his power is going to look like, you know? I know Ksrx is like the Gilliman of, you're not really like your Gilliman, but like your fancy boy. But this this hits. This hits. Absolutely. So yeah. Wow. Okay. That is that's some good deletion. He will break through plenty. Weapon spotlight. My baby. My baby. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you don't know, the Knight Valiant is my favorite knight by a long margin, and I've always loved the harpoon. It's been like my favorite thing. Okay, and scroll. Let's see here. 18-inch range, 1 shot, ballistic skill 2 up. Let's grab the Knight Valiant. Wait, what's the skill 2 up? Oh shit. 6. So it's 16, 6, 10. Add 1 to the hit roll against monstrous vehicles. And suffers 3 mortal wounds in addition if it took the damage. Okay. It is 1 shot, hits on 2s, strength 24. So it will only be wounding things like, what would it even, I mean, a monolith on 3s, that's like about it. Anything that's T13 or 14. AP 6, so Lol Lamau, and 12 damage. But it has anti-monster 4 and anti-vehicle 4 and devastating wounds. So if you could wound, say, Rhino or something else like that on 2s or 3s, sure. And you'll get the AP -6 and they'll probably go through. Maybe they have an invul save, so they might get a chance to save it. That's not like that. But if you fire this at a monster or a vehicle, if you wound it on a 4 up, it will turn into mortals. Therefore, it will turn into 12 mortal wounds flat out on a 4 up, which I will say I'm not that upset about. This is like a 600-point model, and it's 1 shot. It's kind of the point of the Thunder Coil Harpoon overall. I think this is a good thing to look at if you want to determine what the hammerhead from Tau might be, the major hammerhead, the railgun. This is a pretty good way to describe the railgun because I feel like it's going to get a similar treatment of the anti-monster plus devastating wounds ability. I will say this will certainly hurt bad if you just happen to fire this against infantry and you spike a 6 to wound, and then you did 12 mortal wounds to like a full squad of Terminators or something. It'd be pretty hilarious, I won't lie. But obviously it's meant to be shot at monsters and vehicles. It's the whole point of the harpoon. Anyone who's piloted Knight Valiant knows that this big spiky beast was absolutely glorious on the off chance he got close enough to actually fire, and its track record of being a hyper-intimidating, if impractical threat continues with imposing statistics. Look on my harpoon, ye vehicles, and despair. Another weapon. Okay, cool. Let's see here. The rapid-fire battle cannon. Blast and rapid-fire D6 +3. Holy shit. Okay. D6 plus 3 shots. Hits on ballistic skill 3. 10, 1, 3. I mean, yeah, this is just like the Militarum one. It is literally the Militarum battle cannon, except it has, if you're in half range, double shots, which is what a rapid fire battle cannon has always been. It has been double the shots. No, I think the codex that came out with the guard afterwards made it a little bit different. I think it was like, because the battle cannon before was D6 shots, and then the rapid fire one was 2D6 shots, and then it became D6 plus 3. But this will put on some hurt. 2D6 plus 6 shots with an extra shot maybe. So maybe 2D6 plus 7 or even 8 shots at 10, 1, 3. That'll put on a lot of hurt. That's a lot of damage. Especially if you reroll once to hidden wounds. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, Stratagem Spotlight. Shoulder the burden. Let's see here. When facing with the darkest hour, knightly nobles rise to the challenge, but nothing shall deter them from fulfilling their duty. 2 CP, your command phase. One Imperial Knight model from your army that has lost 1 or more wounds. Until the start of your next command phase, improve your model's toughness save, leadership, toughness and save, leadership and adjusted control by 1, and each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. You can only use the stratagem once per battle. If your army is honored, you can use the stratagem 1 additional time. And it's only until the start of your next command phase, and it's 2 CP. Okay. Okay. This initially sounds absolutely terrifying, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's only once per game, unless you're honored, then it's twice per game. It's 2 CP, and CP is at a premium. That is 20% of your CP, all in this one stratagem. It's very good. Making your character, especially if you know your opponent is like packing lots of las cannons, and you're T12 and now you're T13, you're basically making your knight -1 to wound against their good stuff. Like, that's pretty big, don't get me wrong. But this is not like horrifying. It's going to be horrifying with that one unit for a bit, but it's only until the end of start of your next command phase. You know, it's 2 CP. It has a stipulation of having to have taken wounds. You know, it's pretty good as far as stratagems go, but it's not like the end-all be-all holy shit stratagem. Another one. The desire for glory is ever a gamble. However, as the need to claim Won't Worry trophies can push a knight beyond the bounds of reason, should they succeed, their duel will be remembered for an age. But should they fail, this honor that will dog them until redemption can be won. Trophy claim. 1 CP, your shooting phase or the fight phase. 1 Imperial Knights model from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight, and 1 enemy monster or vehicle. Until the end of that phase, each time your model makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the wound roll. If your model destroys that enemy unit this phase, you gain 1 CP, but if your model does not destroy that enemy unit this phase, you cannot use this stratagem again for the rest of the battle. You know, okay, so that's hilarious and super knighty. That's got so much flavor in it as knights go. It's like, you announce a challenge against this enemy Toxicrene, and it goes, whoa, and it just makes warbly noises. And it's only with that model. Okay. It's your shooting phase or fight phase from where that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase yet. Okay, all right. That's fun. That's fun. I mean, you basically refund the CP if you do it, and if you don't, you can't use it for the rest of the game. And, you know, your opponent can react to it with their own stratagems. So it's kind of fun. I kind of like it. It's got its own enjoyable little flavor to it. Word from the studio. Oh, damn, that arc goes hard. Holy hell. That's really cool. With the Code Chivalric army rule, we wanted to reinforce the narrative of Imperial Knights pledging themselves to honorable quests, as well as endowing your war machines with powerful benefits throughout the battle. These oaths also offer 3 command points should they be accomplished. Command points are a much more precious commodity in this edition, so this is a substantial prize that could unlock all important extra stratagems, plays at critical moments. On top of that, We are keen to ensure that the Imperial Knights function as a cohesive tactical force. Their hefty OC characteristics enable them to claim objectives, even when outnumbered by lesser foes, and the Bondsman abilities offer a variety of interplay between your larger and smaller models, ranging from the lethal hits and lance abilities dished out by the Knight Paladin, to the reroll to charge rolls and hit rolls conferred by the Knight Gallant. Gotcha. I was like, I didn't see any Bondsman abilities on the, on what's his buckets right here. So I wasn't actually sure if there were, like, where they're going to stick around. So yeah, bondsmans are big knights that are being used to help smaller knights, armatures specifically. So lethal hits and lance. We found out what lance means. Lance is +1 to wound on the charge. You charge in and you get +1 to wound by the Knight Paladin, and rerolls to charge rolls and hit rolls conferred by the Knight Gallant. Knight Gallant being the stabby one. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm sure these are all very good books, but you gotta throw Assassinorum Kingmaker in there. Come on, it's so good. It's so good. The Iron Kingdom, a Dawn of Fire novel. I've never seen this before. I don't know what this is. It looks, cover art's really cool though. All right, let's see here. Xenos fans rejoice. It's the turn of the Tau Empire tomorrow, and they're packing some serious heat. The Tau. Speaking of armies, did you hear that? It's the son of Oza Moment pointing at your Valiant in mad panic. I mean, yeah, that probably is what you would do. You would put it on the Valiant. Okay. This looks very good. I am in the same mindset as I am with the Eldar with these guys. Their Code Chivalric looks very strong. Layla Tyrant is incredible, but Reclaim the Realm is also great for the stabby groups. The extra CP is very good. The Indomitable Heroes is whoosh. Wow. Oh my God. There's a lot going on with that one. 5 of Feel No Pain when honored, and even 6 of Feel No Pain regular is, oh boy. Warglaive is looking pretty tasty. Canis is looking like the main dish. The Valiant Harpoon makes me very happy to see. And the Rapid-Fire Bow Cannon is really gonna shoot pretty hard. And so is, and there's 2 strats as well also. I guess the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is if you'll ever not take Layload the Tyrants. You know? Like, rerolling a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1 has increased use when you are firing weapons that are high strength. And you also hit well. So hitting on like a ballistic skill of 2 like Canis Rex does over here, and you're firing against, you know, Space Marines or something with that high intensity las impulsor, like all your hits are going to land. And then some. The Rapid Fire Battle Cannon, you know, you're hitting on 3s, but you're rerolling 1s. And with this many shots, I mean, it seems like you'll be getting, let's say 3, so 7 plus 6, so 13 plus blasts, like average of 14 shots, you know, like it's really going to hit. That's a lot of damage. And then you've got the other arm gun and like the stubber mount that they have. And then of course they can punch. I actually noticed that Canis Rex does not have a foot attack. But they showed off melee weapons for both of these guys, so we haven't seen any foot attacks in general yet. So there's still that to be seen. Yeah, I gotta be honest, and these are some good stratagems too. I gotta be honest, Knights are looking real strong. They are looking exceptionally tasty. Their AP has been nerfed, but still mostly pretty good. They are a little tankier, not too tanky, but a little tankier, thanks to the toughness increase more than anything. Giving them OC is really awesome because it just makes it a clean and easy to understand concept. And, well, the tankiness comes from the Indomitable Heroes, actually. But you might swap the detachment rule for a different one in the future when their codex comes out. Oh, boy. All right. Tau Empire tomorrow. Tau Empire, one of the more difficult factions to balance. So we'll see how it goes. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh boy.